Well, Mark Few and the Gonzaga Bulldogs have stayed very busy on the recruiting trail these past few weeks with new targets in both the 2023 and 2024 recruiting classes. Jason Jordan of Sports Illustrated is here to break down all of the new names right here on the Locked On Zags podcast. Don't go away.
You are Locked On Zags, your daily podcast on the Gonzaga Bulldogs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What is going on, y'all? Welcome to the Locked On Zags podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host and longtime Gonzaga podcaster, Andy Patton, here to bring you news and updates on all things Zag athletics. I would also like to thank LinkedIn Jobs for being the official college recruiting sponsor across the Locked On College Network. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Terms and conditions apply. I am thrilled to be joined once again today by Jason Jordan of Sports Illustrated. Jason, lots of stuff happening with the Zags and all across the college basketball landscape throughout the summer circuits. Thanks for taking the time to come on the show. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Glad to be here.
So the first player that I want to talk about for Gonzaga and recruiting right now is the guy that I think has generated the most interest, especially now that Xavier Booker is gone. That was my dream target for the Zags, but I figured Michigan State had a good stranglehold there, and it seems like they got their guy.
Yeah.
The next guy I want to talk about, though, is Caden Cooper. Cooper, of course, listed Gonzaga in his top 10. He's kind of the most eminent prospect right now in terms of players that could commit to Gonzaga. He obviously just spent about a week in Portland at the Formula Zero training camp with Damian Lillard. Super exciting thing there. Hunter Sallis was in attendance representing Gonzaga, so perhaps there was some connection made there. I'm curious kind of what you got on Cooper as he kind of gets closer to making his decision.
Well, I know he's planning to take a couple more visits. I think Texas and LSU are going to come up here in the next month or so.
Yeah.
And so, the last thing he told me, the last time we talked, I saw him at Adidas All-American. He was, I'm sure you guys are well-versed with what kind of player he is, but he was one of my favorite players there at the camp, just to kind of reinforce that you're getting a good player if you get him.
Yeah.
But the last thing he talked about in regards to you guys was, how blown away he was at the visit and how, high he was on the staff and, how basically the players are like gods on campus, and he was just wow. He was just wowed by that. Like it really was fascinating to him. I could tell. So I think we'll learn more in the next. I think he is going to take these visits.
Yeah,
and visits can change things here and there, but I do think you guys are in great position. I think Oklahoma will be a player for sure.
Yeah.
He talked about home cooking and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So. But I definitely think you guys are in an amazing position at this point for sure.
I wonder too, and this is an off the cuff question here, but just thinking about like the impression that players may have seeing how Gonzaga basketball players are treated, in part because they are a non-football school. And like, I've always wondered if that makes some kind of difference of like, they're not, the football players are going to get more attention on, Alabama's campus or Auburn's campus, even if the basketball program is very, very good. Right. Whereas at Gonzaga, that's not the case. I've always wondered how much of an impact, if you've heard that before from other players outside of Cooper, obviously.
Not specifically. I don't think they put that together,
Yeah.
I think they just notice if they are treated like he did, you know what I mean? Like he didn't say, and I could tell, because of that. Because basketball comes first here. I have heard that. Don't get me wrong. I've heard that.
Sure.
At different schools. But I think by and large, they're just, if you're treating them good, they like it.
Absolutely.
I think they're just that basic.
Yeah.
In a good way.
Of course.
Yeah.
All right. Next guy that I wanted to talk about is another guy that's been on the radar for a while, although I feel significantly less confident about where he's going to end up at Gonzaga. Although I do think he's going to be on the West Coast. That's Mookie Cook. Obviously a guy who decommitted from Oregon, had Gonzaga in his top list. There was some thought that perhaps him decommitting meant that he was going to go somewhere else, and Gonzaga, of course, would have been a player there. But then KJ Evans committed to Oregon. Those two guys are close. Are you getting a sense that Mookie's going to join him with Dana Altman's squad over in Eugene?
Yeah. So until he starts taking, this is what I talked about with a coach last night, who I won't say who it was. But until he starts taking some visits, I'm just thinking he's going back. You know, like, you got to show me. I'm from the show me state. I'm not, but you got to show me with some visits. Go out on some visits, then I know it's real. You know, until I see some visits, I can't see that changing substantially. No,
totally. Yeah, that makes sense. It would be a really, like, these two guys are both kind of I feel like a position that Gonzaga has, I wouldn't say struggled, especially not with Corey Kispert and Julian Strawther coming through in recent years, but like the traditional three, or like the supersized wing, is kind of an area that Gonzaga has struggled historically to recruit. I think they've gotten really good at point guards. They've gotten really, really good at big men, but we haven't seen the wing development as much. Again, that has changed a little bit recently, but these would be two guys that would fill a role at Gonzaga that we haven't seen a lot of, like hyper athletic, oversized, at least oversized by WCC standard wings. And it would be really nice if Zags could get a player who kind of fits that bill.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah. All right. Jason and I are going to come back in the second segment. We are going to take a look at a couple other 2023 prospects that the Zags are interested in, including a fast rising big who looks a lot like Chet Holmgren on paper. Before we get there, though, I want to tell you all about LinkedIn. As the sun comes out and small businesses are back in business, LinkedIn Jobs makes it easier to grow your team. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the people you want to interview faster and for free. Create a free job post in minutes on LinkedIn Jobs to reach your network and beyond to the world's largest professional network of over 810 million people. Then add your job in the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring, so your network can help you find the right people to hire. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience, so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. Did you know that every week, nearly 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn? Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. All right. I want to move on to a couple other guys in the class of 2023 that are targets for the Zags. A few guys that we didn't talk about last time, had you on the show. One of them is a quick riser, a guy who's kind of popped up on some boards recently, had a nice run through the summer circuit. That's Jacob McFarland. A bit more unknown, it looked like, but he picked up some really big offers very recently. Gonzaga has showed interest. There is not an offer there that I know of. But they called him. He was very excited to be called by Gonzaga. But obviously, we've also seen Houston. We've seen USC. We've seen Providence all make offers him. Looks like a lot of momentum towards this kid. What have you seen out of him and kind of where he's at recruiting wise?
Well, he had a big June and July with West Coast Elite. He's just an athletic rim runner. Finishes very well. 6'11", and you can't coach that, but super athletic as well. So very versatile. I definitely saw that he was very excited that you guys reached out. So that's never a bad thing, right? When somebody seems to be giddy when a staff reaches out. So, like, to your point, if you guys offer, I think you guys could be in a really good position, obviously. I mean, no hot take there. But I mean, like I said, he had a really good summer. Definitely a great piece. And I think he's a guy who will definitely be shooting up the rankings.
It's funny. He talked a little bit about Chet Holmgren. He said it was one of his favorite players. And I read a couple of scouting reports on him, and it literally looks like somebody copied and pasted a scouting report from Chet Holmgren. I don't think the outside shooting is quite there, but he's skinny. He's a good rim runner. He's a good shot blocker. He's got to put on weight on his frame. I was like, wow, this looks really familiar.
Yeah, sounds like Chet.
Yeah, it's not a bad player to be comped to early in your high school career. Next guy that I want to talk about, Jason, is Wesley Yates, a guy that we didn't mention last time. He was kind of on Gonzaga's radar a while ago, that he was kind of first connected to them, and I haven't heard a whole lot since then, which I don't know if that means anything or not. Tons of schools that have showed interest. By my count, only 3 visits, which were Auburn, UW, and Stanford, which is frankly a kind of odd group of schools to have visited. You got any sense on kind of what he's thinking or where he might end up?
Yeah, I sat down with him for a while at Peach Jam, and he did say he was going to take a visit to Gonzaga. He
Okay,
told me
great.
and I know he's got the visit to, I believe, LSU next month. And he said he was also going to get to Arkansas. So he specifically said he was going to take a visit to Gonzaga.
Okay.
And he was going to go to Arkansas. But I don't think that'll be over quickly. Because he really blew up at Peach Jam, and he was one of the best players I saw there.
Yeah.
And I think his offers are still. He could still be picking up offers in the next month. It just depends on how things shake out with other schools. Like, I mean, he was unabashed about telling me he's a big time Duke fan. So Duke reached out. They did reach out to him. They have not offered. But I think he's on their wait and see level.
Sure.
But
absolutely.
But I mean, he has amazing. I mean, he's now to be fair, he's not like, and I'm just gonna wait. He ain't on that. He's like, y'all are on him. I mean, he's not gonna wait if he's got that. His list of schools is super impressive. So I think he is gonna take his time and take those visits, which I mean, he probably could do his due diligence. So, but a great piece, man. One of literally, I say top 5 that I personally saw at Peach Jam. He was definitely one of the top 5 players there. For sure.
What kind of player, like offensively, what kind of player are we talking about here? Like, is he a shooter? Is he more of a slasher? What kind of player is he?
He's both. Like, he's very versatile, and he picks his spots. What I was really I watched him play a bunch of games, but the most impressive game I saw him play was against CP3, which had Robert Dillingham, Aiden Holloway, Gigi Jackson. They had a host of like super athletic, long wings. They just kept throwing at him, and so he would never force anything. He would definitely take his time. He was very methodical, ran off screens really well, knocked down shots, got to the basket. He's super strong, super athletic, knows how to shield his body, get that defender on his hip and finish at the rim, super efficient as a finisher. So very tactical with his approach. Definitely, like I said, a guy I was very, very much impressed with.
Yeah. All right. One more guy on the 2023 list before we talk about a few guys the Zags are looking at in 2024. The last 2023 target I want to talk about is J.J. Taylor, another one of those big wings, the kind of mythical player that the Zags have only been getting in recent years. 6'6" wing out of California. It sure seems like John Calipari, who has not made a lot of friends in Spokane the last week or so, is already got his hands all over this kid. It's the only offer he has so far that I've seen. Is that where you're leaning with him right now, or is there a chance that this is another one that's going to develop a little later?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, he keeps a lot of stuff close to the vest. JJ is one of those ones that doesn't do a whole lot of talking. But yeah, my back channel conversations are that they're in a really good position, right?
Yeah.
And so, but he fits the mold of the guys we talked about. I mean, they're all, you could almost, they're kind. I don't like to say they're the same player, but they have the same skill set, same attributes, same strengths for the most part. But yeah, JJ's one of those ones too. Like he had a really strong season at Donda, played with Robert Dillingham. I think he's gonna go back there.
Yeah.
So but as things drag on, that's the thing, man, with recruiting, week to week, hour to hour. I've seen it change hour to hour. That is a true story.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see. If it gets past the fall, that could get interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of things changing week to week or hour to hour, we're now going to talk about 2024 prospects who have years and years until they have to make a decision. So we'll stay away from trying to make predictions on where they're going to go because it's a little early for that. But I do kind of want to know your thoughts on these two guys that Gonzaga has made offers to in the class of 2024. One of them is Dedan Thomas, who of course went to Liberty High School in Nevada, same high school as Julian Strawther. You got to think that can't hurt, at least having that connection there. Have you seen this kid much, or kind of what kind of player he is?
Yeah. Crafty ball handler, shifty, man, just gets to his spots. Hard to keep in. One of those guys that you're not gonna stay in front of him. He's that guy, but definitely can score on 3 levels. A heady point guard, floor general extraordinaire. He controls pace, definitely dictates tempo. And he's a really good passer, like great vision, definitely a high IQ guy, extension of the coach on the floor to be cliche, but he really is. But I know Arizona, Arkansas, and I think Florida are also heavily involved
Yeah.
in that one. So, like you said, long way to go, but
Mhm.
it's good to have. It's good that you guys have, even the smallest,
Yeah.
little advantage there. So all those things definitely work in your favor when you can have that.
I always love when we see point guards that seem to fit a lot of what Mark Few and the Zags like to do.
Right.
They control tempo well. They can get out in transition. That kind of thing is always appealing for any point guard in general, but definitely at Gonzaga. But it also always makes me nervous when Tommy Lloyd is interested as well, because they kind of do a lot of the same things, which is not surprising.
Yeah.
And you see what Tommy was able to do with a guy like Kerr Kriisa, and kind of
Right.
he's very, very good at developing point guards. So you got to think that it's going to be a tough call. There's other schools involved, but even if it just comes down to Gonzaga, Arizona, that's you can't really go wrong either of those places.
That's very true. Very true.
Last guy on my list for you, Jason, before I let you go, Carter Bryant, six.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, look, another one of those wings for the
Yeah.
Zags.
It's in
6'6"
the pattern.
wing from California, man. It's almost the exact same notes as JJ Taylor here. Picked up an offer from Gonzaga. Arizona's interested. Oregon's interested. Louisville, Florida. It's a long list of schools that are interested. I believe, and I know the list changed towards the end, but I believe he also attended the Formula Zero camp with Caden Cooper and Hunter Sallis. Again, hanging out with a current Zag, a potential future Zag.
Yeah.
You got to imagine it can't hurt.
Yeah.
Have you seen much of this kid?
Yeah, he played really well with PG Elite this summer, and he played really well at the top 100 camp. That's when he really got on a lot of people's radar, even more so.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like you said, long way to go. 6'7" wing, really long and wiry. I mean, I don't know his length, but I'd imagine it's probably 6'10" plus.
Yeah.
Which means he's definitely going to check off a lot of boxes on the defensive end, which is what coaches like, and definitely what Mark Few would love.
Mm-hmm.
Look how you can plug in a lot of different lineups and you can use interchangeably. He's definitely fitting that mold, but long way to go with that one for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely, to your point, I mean, all little things help, right? Especially in this stage where the guys are still thinking that is cool to get. Well, they've been getting hit up from coaches since June 15th, so they're probably getting to the point where it's a little bit annoying, right? Just a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Jason, thank you so much for the recaps on these guys. Once again, before I let you go real quick, I just kind of wanted to touch a little bit on your overall impressions of kind of the summer circuit this year. It seemed like there was a lot of kind of excitement around some of these guys. 2023, try that again, class seems like it's developing really well. Obviously, the Zags only have one piece confirmed so far in Dusty Stromer, a guy that we're pretty excited about over here in Spokane. But just having gotten to see a lot of the kids from this class, especially it's kind of a weird COVID class. Like I know there was some kind of strangeness around that's probably going to be a deal for the next 2 years or so until we're kind of clear of that. But kind of what did it seem like seeing these kids at Peach Jam and various other camps over the summer?
Well, they were happy to be a little more free, right?
Sure.
I remember the year before at Peach Jam, it was open, but everybody was terrified. I mean, but because people were dropping like flies, right?
Yeah.
When I say dropping like flies, there were this team got COVID.
Can't play, right?
This coach, I mean, some of your favorite coaches got COVID down at Peach Jam. So everybody was and that happened on day 2. It's 12 days, right?
Yep.
I remember driving down there, and I had like 4 phone calls because I tweeted, almost can't wait to get to the Peach Jam on my way. I had like 4 phone calls from coaches. Dude, turn around. It's COVID is all over the gym. River. So it was refreshing that people were more relaxed and they spaced out well, but obviously it's still around, but we're learning more, which is a great thing. So I think all the coaches and the players were very happy to just be back, and that's what they said. They said as much, and they seemed to be very happy. They everybody competed, and a lot of guys played really well down there for sure.
Yeah, seems like it. Jason, well, thank you so much for coming on. Definitely going to do this again soon as the Zags as these offers turn into actual commitments and things like that. And we kind of have a sense of what these next couple of recruiting classes are going to look like. Very excited to have you here to help out and chat about this stuff. And again, really appreciate it.
Anytime, man. Look forward to coming back.
All right. Thank you again to Jason for joining us on the show today. That is going to do it for us today. Don't forget to check out the new website for written content, scorezagscore.com. 3 to 4 new articles every single day. Check it out if you haven't done so yet. We got much more coming later this week. We're going to do a Kentucky episode. We're going to talk more in depth about Mark Few versus John Calipari, Oscar Tshiebwe versus Drew Timme, one of the best matchups of the upcoming college basketball season, right here on the Locked On Zags podcast. Available wherever you get your podcasts, and of course, available on YouTube as well. Check it out there if you haven't done so yet. Finally, thank you again to those of you who have made Locked On Zags your first listen of the day. Locked On WCC doesn't exist yet, but you can get more informed on the West Coast happenings by making Locked On Pac-12 your second listen of the day. Host Spencer McLaughlin and the local experts of Locked On take you across the Pac-12 in 30 minutes, 5 times per week. All right, thank you all for listening, and go Zags.